Right now at 6 o'clock, the most dramatic testimony yet from the prosecution as it tries to convict this man, Johnathan Quiles, of first-degree murder in the death of his niece. The state is expected to rest after its final witness, Quiles' brother, finishes his testimony. He took the stand about 35 minutes ago.
His testimony has been gripping. Once the state rests, it's the defense attorney's turn. Besides murder, Quiles is also charged with sexually assaulting Ayanna Sawyer, who investigators say was pregnant with his baby. We have a crew inside the courtroom listening to the rest of Quiles' brother's testimony. But News for Jax reporter Marilyn Parker has been in that courtroom all day. Marilyn?
Yes, and this testimony was incredibly hard to hear. Joseph Quiles says that he loves his brother, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the fact that this is not about his brother, but about finding a missing girl. And he said that ultimately he wanted to help her be found. Take a listen to this harrowing testimony. He breaks down how Johnathan told him that he told Sawyer they were going to run away together, but take a listen to what actually happened.
Same day, he then said that he took the young lady and he had her sitting in a vehicle. He picked her up. He had her sitting in a vehicle, waiting. He tried to strangle her. It didn't work out. He couldn't stomach it. And so then he later went and shot her in the chest. And then he proceeded to discard the body by taking the body and putting it in transporting it into a dumpster and destroying the vehicle.
He also told the court that Quiles told him he wrapped her body in a carpet and then transported her to the dumpster place, and then he used the machine, and he knew when that dumpster would be picked up. He had it all planned out. He told his brother he'd been planning this for months. Incredibly disturbing. Now, we also heard other testimony that pointed to Quiles admitting to the crime. We want to start with Naomi Mobley. This is Quiles' ex-wife. She talks about when she started to see his behavior change.
There was a change in his behavior after she went missing. Prior to that, he was fidgety and nervous and always speaking about the fact that he could not get a hold of his brother. He was restless. After she went missing, then he slept like a baby. And I'm aware of this because I was very pregnant and I was up every hour on the hour to go to the bathroom as he slept like a baby.
Asked if she asked her niece about any sexual interaction with Quiles in the early 2018 year, and they denied it. She says she never saw anything inappropriate between Quiles and her nieces, and even going into the end of the year. Then after Quiles was arrested, he called her from jail and she asked him to tell her the truth. His response was, "I want to tell you the truth, but the people listening will take it the wrong way." Well, there were multiple people listening to what Quiles had to say, and that includes a jail inmate who was wearing a wire. But before we play that wire, take a listen to what a former dorm mate, Damian Hatch, told the court about what Quiles told him about the pregnancy and him admitting to a secret spot where he told Sawyer to meet him.
He said she not gonna get rid of it, she gonna run away. He told her to meet up, and then after they meet up, I guess.
Don't guess, tell me what he said.
He just said, meet up at the spot, then when they meet up, don't tell no one. Then when they met up, that's when he choked her, and then she said she wasn't dying. He pulled his gun out and shot her. He said just once he shot her, he threw her body in the dumpster.
And you can hear the correlations between that inmate and what Quiles' brother just said on the stand. Now, we want to play you a portion of that wire, but I need you to keep in mind that there are 2 other people in the cell with Quiles at the time of the recording, but we are only playing the portions where we can make out what one of the people said and in addition to Quiles. Take a listen.
Where you shot at? Where happened there? It was over at the job. It was loud over there. Oh, you shot at the job and left it there overnight? You posed from all where the blood was? Yeah, nah, it's dirt. You just scoop it up.
Several admissions were made on that wire, but it is kind of hard to hear. And a portion of that wire, he clearly claims that his brother is the reason that he is in jail, basically blaming the situation on him. There are going to be more details on that coming up tonight on News4Jax at 10 and 11. And we're expecting to hear from the defense starting tomorrow morning. Reporting live at the Duval County Courthouse, Marilyn Parker, Channel 4, the local station.